Hi piano friends, it's Laura Lowe, and in this video I'm going to show you how to have a great hand position at the piano. It's very important, even as a beginner, to have a good hand position. Not only does it help you play better, but in time it's going to protect your hand from injury. Now I know you're not practicing for hours at a time right now as a beginner, but as you get better and as you practice longer, if you're not careful, you can develop bad habits that can lead to tendonitis or even in terrible cases to nerve damage, and we don't want that. So we're going to learn great ways to keep your hand in the proper position. Now, here's a quick note for teachers and parents. If you're watching this, and I hope you are, let me emphasize that everything I say in this video assumes that the student is sitting at the correct bench height. If the student's not high enough, then they're having to reach up to the keys, and it is very difficult to get your hand in the proper position when you're not at the proper height. You are fighting an uphill battle quite literally. My next video is going to be about adjustable benches, and I really hope you'll watch. If you don't have an adjustable bench, you probably need one. So let's get started. My favorite way to help students have a good hand position is with this little creature called a warm fuzzy. I bought a kit a few years ago for making these things, and you're supposed to share them with somebody to brighten their day. You give them a warm fuzzy. But I decided they were great to use for helping students with their hand position. And so I tried to make one for all of my beginners. It's just a pom-pom with feet made out of craft foam and some googly eyes. Now, mine has lost a googly eye at some point, so he's a Cyclops fuzzy. Teachers, you can make these yourself if you want to, or if you go to Etsy.com and search for pom-pom creatures or quiet creatures, you'll turn up crafters who make these things in bulk. Classroom teachers like to use them as incentives, so if a student is working quietly, a quiet creature might come and sit on their desk to keep them company. The favored habitat of a warm fuzzy, that is the place they most like to live, is in the cave made by a warm human hand. Fuzzy is just the right size to fit under even small hands. In the next clip, Olivia is going to help me demonstrate how Fuzzy likes to live under hands. And you can also see in this clip how important it is to have an adjustable bench for your small students. And this is Olivia's Fuzzy, and this is Olivia. Olivia, can you tell me why I have a fuzzy? What is fuzzy for?
It's for putting your hand like this.
So that you have a nice round hand position. Drop your wrist a little bit. So he just rests. Yes, that is a perfect hand position. Can you show me with your other hand so I can see it on the thumb side of your hand? Let's move him up here. And you just let your hand rest right on Fuzzy. Oh, what a beautiful hand position you have there when you have a Fuzzy. So Fuzzy loves to live in a warm space, in a warm cave. What would happen? Show me the wrong way. There's no room for Fuzzy there. When we play the piano, we want to have curved fingers, not flat or straight fingers. You can see the difference here in these two photos. In the top one, you can see flat fingers, and in the bottom picture here, a nice rounded hand shaped with curved fingers. When I tell my students that I want them not to have flat fingers, I tell them not to have zombie fingers. When I was a little girl, zombies were not like the ones we see on that TV show, The Walking Dead, that are so scary. Zombies were often shown as cartoon characters that looked like a person sleepwalking, like this picture. For some reason, they always showed sleepwalkers and zombies with their hands and fingers stuck straight out. Now, I've actually been a sleepwalker and I didn't look like that, so I don't know how that got started, but that seems to be what cartoon zombies look like. So, don't have zombie fingers when you play. Curve your fingers over so that they look like kitty paws. Sometimes I just tell my students, cat paws, and they know what to do. In the next clip, you can see Amelia helping me demonstrate the zombie fingers problem and how to have nice rounded fingers on the keys. So here I am with Amelia, and she is going to help demonstrate zombie fingers. Show me what zombie fingers are. Yep, straight out fingers. because when I was a little girl, cartoon zombies looked like this. Show me. Show me with, yeah, hold your hands up and show me how they walked. Yep, cartoon zombies stuck their hands straight out, straight arms, and they looked like they were sleepwalkers. So I call straight fingers zombie fingers. And when you have them nice and curved, what do they look like? That's right. When we play the piano, we want to play right up on the tippy tips of our fingers, not down on the finger pad. So here's a picture of a ballerina's feet. She is up on her tippy toes. Now, when I get on my toes, my feet look more like this because I am not a ballerina. I couldn't possibly get on my tippy toes like this, but I can get on my toes like this. Can you see how this person's toes are bent backwards right here? We don't want to have that happen at the piano. We don't want the joints of our fingers to bend backwards like that. If you'll look at this picture, I'm going to annotate again. If you look really closely, you can see right here that my what I call my fingernail joint, the joint closest to my fingernail, is bent the wrong way. And we don't want to have that happen. In fact, we want to be up on our tippy toes, just like a ballerina, except it's the tippy tips of our fingers. In the next clip, we're going to join Carmen, and she's going to learn about fingers on point. All right, so I'm here with Carmen. Say hi, Carmen. Hi. And we are watching a video of a ballet dancer, because a ballet dancer dances all the way up on her tippy toes. Let's see if I can get my finger in there. Well, now she's not dancing on her tippy toes. She's dancing on the ball of her foot. Come on, ballet dancer. Show us on point. There she goes. When she's all the way up on her tippy toes, then she's doing what we call dancing on point. And that's very different from anything I can do. When I get up on my toes are bent backwards. So she has really strong feet so that she can dance without her toes bent backwards. So when we put our fingers on the keys, we also want to have our fingers not bent backwards like this. Let's see how you do. Carmen, put your fingers up on the keys. Take your right hand. That's it. Yeah. And we're going to have a nice space for Fuzzy. Not too big of a space under your wrist. Just right here is where the space is. Can you play C, D, E, F, G? That's awesome. You did it exactly right. So when we play the piano, we want to remember not to have flat fingers and to play up on the tips of our fingers. Now, I'm a firm believer that we need lots of different ways to explain things, and sometimes the more bizarre the explanation, the better it sticks. So in the next clip, you're going to see me working with Carmen, and we're going to be talking about finger eyes. So what we're doing now, and don't worry, Mom, this comes right off with an alcohol wipe. What we're doing right now is we're drawing finger eyes on the tips of our fingers, the very tips of our fingers. She's doing her best. Yeah, don't get it too far down on the pad of your finger. Put it right up here behind your fingernail so that that's the part that touches the key.
Like that?
As far up on the tip of your finger as you can. Like, see how mine are close to my fingernail? Yeah. Okay. That's a good place for your thumb. Yes. Yes. Good. Stand up so I can get a better view of your finger eyes. And on your pinky, it's just kind of at the corner of your fingernail. Now, why am I making my piano student draw on her hands? My mother never let me draw on my hands, so she asked me if it would come off, and I promised her it would with an alcohol wipe, and a washable marker would have even been a better choice, but I don't have one. So our fingers have these eyes in the tips of them, and this part of the piano on my piano is a little bit shiny. Sometimes my fingers like to look at themselves in the mirror, and I have to remind them that they need to look down at their work. And we play right on our eyes. Isn't that crazy? Show me how your finger eyes touch the keys. Yes. What if your fingers looked right at themselves in the mirror? What would that look like? What if they look ahead? There we go. Now they're looking in the mirror. Okay, fingers, you need to stop being so vain and looking at yourself in the mirror and look down at your work. That's right. Up on point with those fingers right on their fingertips. Excellent. Thank you, Carmen. Give me a smile through your mask. Sometimes my students' fingers pop off the keys while they're playing. They depress a key with one finger and the other fingers just pop up into the air. Now, we don't really want our fingers glued to the keys so that they always touch the keys and never lift off, but we do want our fingers to stay close to the keys. Here's a picture of some fingers that have gently lifted off the keys while the other fingers are playing. See how close they are to the keys? When I have students who have this problem of fingers popping off, I like to talk about bubble gum. Yes, bubble gum. This poor guy has stepped in some bubble gum. It's sticky and it's stuck to the ground and to the bottom of his shoe. And as he picked up his foot, it just pulls his foot back down to the ground, that sticky line of bubble gum. So imagine what it's like to step on bubble gum. Now imagine that there's something sticky like bubble gum on the keys. Just imagine this, please. Please don't really put anything sticky on your keys. I don't want any piano parents getting angry at me. But if you imagine that there's something sticky like bubble gum on your keys, and when your finger lifts off the keys, it pulls your finger back down, just like there's a little line right here of bubble gum that pulls your finger back into place. So your finger can lift off the key, but it's going to be automatically pulled back down so that it can't move very far away. If you imagine that, it will help keep your fingers close to the keys. Sometimes my students let their wrists sag too low. Now, the first thing you should think about when this happens is, oh no, Fuzzy's cave has collapsed on top of him and he is squashed. Poor Fuzzy. Sometimes that helps when you remember Fuzzy. But another thing that might help is to think about a marionette. A marionette is one of those puppets that are controlled by strings from above. So if you imagine that you are a marionette puppet and that puppeteer in the sky who is controlling you is not going to let your wrist drop that low, then you can remember to keep your hand in a nice, neutral, flat position. So you can see right here, this is straight across. It's not sagging and it's not making a mountain either. Now, when we play the piano, we're not going to keep our hand in a rigid position like that. Sometimes we are going to lift the wrist, and sometimes we may drop the wrist a little bit, but we're always going to come back to this neutral, flat position. So in the next clip, we're going to see Audrey and then Amelia, and they're going to help me demonstrate how to keep the wrist above the keys, as well as how to address when you tend to overcorrect that sagging wrist. Hello, so I am here with Audrey, who is also a first-year beginner, and we are going to talk about having a flexible wrist on the piano. So Audrey, we've got a headband here, because that's just what I had handy. And Audrey's going to help me show how to have a flexible wrist. Now, let your arm go dead weight. That's right. Now, I'm holding up Audrey's arm. And we talked about marionette puppets and how, let your arm go floppy. There you go. How that puppet operator works the hands and the arms on a puppet. So when you have your fingers over the keys, it's a great idea to just pretend that you are a puppet. And there's a big puppeteer in the sky who is letting your wrist go up and down, but he's only going to let it go so far. Let your hand relax, Audrey. Totally relaxed. And it's never going to go lower than about this. And it's always going to come back to this nice even place, but we can move it up and down as we need to. Very good. Thank you. Now, sometimes when I tell students that they need to lift their wrists, I get something I don't want. Show me what I get. Yep. And the problem with that is we've learned about Fuzzy. Fuzzy's got a yellow car, and Fuzzy's car is not very powerful. So when Fuzzy wants to drive home, his car can't make it up the hill. So show me what we have to do so Fuzzy can get home. Right, he needs a flat surface so that he can drive down to his cave. All right, thanks, Amelia. Okay, students of mine, here's your secret word. If you tell me the secret word at your next lesson, there's a reward. Whether you're a beginning piano student or a teacher who teaches beginners, I think it's important to remember to be patient. Developing a good hand position may take time. Every child is different in the rate that they gain control over those muscles. Also, I believe it's important to remember that every child's body is going to be different. This last picture is from a friend of mine on social media. This hand belongs to Donald Lee III, who is an assistant professor of piano at Kentucky State University. His hand's a lot bigger than mine. I have very small hands for an adult. When he posted this photo, this is what he said. My hands look like this naturally. One of the more foolish things I've done was to get caught up in making my fingertips look like everyone else's on the keyboard. Now I'm learning to embrace uniqueness and play with my own hands, just as I'm learning to sing with my own voice. Donald posted this just as I began to work on this video. I was struck by the timeliness of it, and I knew that I wanted to emphasize that there really is no one size fits all when it comes to piano technique. We have to be flexible. I asked Donald if he had any words of wisdom for us, and here's what he said. The most important truth of being a musician is that we need good alignment. Alignment of our playing mechanism, alignment of our minds through practice, studying theory, biography, etc., and alignment of our heart's passion. All of these facets then need to be aligned with each other, and that's what makes studying music a lifelong practice, and nothing is ever truly finished. I think that's inspiring. Since we know our efforts to reach that alignment are a journey, let's be patient with that journey and work for improvement, not perfection, step by step, keystroke by keystroke. I hope this has been helpful. Please subscribe to my channel and check back for more videos.